This is the most dangerous question we have ever asked on this channel. Not because it is false, but because it is not entirely impossible. What if Adolf Hitler was not the architect of World War II? What if he was the instrument? What if someone built him, aimed him, and when the job was done, let him disappear into the mountains of Argentina while the world mourned the 150 million dead he left behind? Before you dismiss this, understand the question we are actually asking. Not whether Hitler was evil. He was. Not whether he chose his actions. He did. The question is simpler and more devastating than that. Who designed the board he played on? Because in every war in history, the most important question is never who fought. It is always who benefited. Follow the power. It always leads somewhere unexpected. In 1939, the world had 5 great powers. Britain, the largest empire in human history. France, dominant in Europe and Africa. Germany, the most powerful industrial nation on the continent. The Soviet Union, the largest country on Earth. And Japan, the dominant force in Asia. By 1945, every single one of them was either destroyed, bankrupt, or completely dependent on external support. Every great power that existed before the war was gone after it. All except one. Here is the plan as it actually unfolded. Hitler's job was to destroy Germany's enemies, Britain, France, the Soviet Union. He did exactly that. He bombed Britain into bankruptcy. He occupied and humiliated France. He invaded the Soviet Union and killed 27 million Russians. Germany's enemies, destroyed or devastated. Phase 1, complete. Then came Phase 2, which Hitler did not control and did not survive. Phase 2 was handled by America. Germany's friends and allies, Italy, Japan, the remaining European powers, were destroyed not by Hitler but by the Allied war machine. America entered the war in 1941. It bombed Japan into rubble. It dismantled the British Empire through financial pressure and strategic humiliation. It occupied Germany itself. By 1945, Hitler had destroyed Germany's enemies. America had destroyed Germany's friends. And Germany itself. Everyone lost. Except America. The result was the most perfect transfer of global power in history. Britain lost its empire. France lost its colonies. Germany was divided and occupied. Japan was bombed into surrender. The Soviet Union lost 27 million people. Italy was dismantled. Every player on the board, eliminated. And America, which entered last, suffered fewest casualties and emerged with the most power, became the undisputed ruler of the world. One winner. Perfectly positioned before the first shot was fired. Now look at Hitler's 3 most catastrophic decisions with fresh eyes. At Dunkirk, he halted his tanks and let 300,000 Allied soldiers escape when he could have destroyed them. He invaded the Soviet Union, knowing what the Russian winter did to Napoleon, against every military advisor's advice. He declared war on America after Pearl Harbor when he had absolutely no treaty obligation to do so. 3 decisions. All personally made. All guaranteed exactly one outcome. American entry into the war. Military historians call Dunkirk Hitler's greatest blunder. His own generals called it inexplicable at the time. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt begged him to continue the advance. Hitler ordered the stop personally. 300,000 British and French soldiers sailed home. They formed the core of the army that eventually defeated him. If Hitler genuinely wanted to win the war, Dunkirk makes no sense. If Hitler's job was to keep Britain just strong enough to need American help, Dunkirk makes perfect sense. The Soviet Union invasion was the same pattern. Operation Barbarossa began in June 1941. Hitler ignored every lesson of military history, ignored his generals, ignored the calendar. He attacked the largest country on Earth 6 months before winter. The campaign killed millions on both sides and ultimately destroyed the German army. But it also bled the Soviet Union so catastrophically that it spent the entire Cold War trying to recover. Germany's most powerful rival, permanently weakened. Mission accomplished. By the wrong side. Then the death that was never proven. April 30, 1945. Hitler allegedly shoots himself in the bunker. His body allegedly burned. The Soviet Union claims his skull for 60 years. In 2018, DNA analysis is finally performed on that skull. Peer-reviewed. Published in a scientific journal. The skull belongs to a woman. Under 40 years old. Hitler was 56. The only physical evidence of Hitler's death was not Hitler. The most wanted man in history has no confirmed body. The FBI files are public record. Between 1945 and 1955, the FBI received and investigated over 700 individual reports of Hitler alive in South America. Not rumors. Formal intelligence reports filed by agents. Declassified and available to anyone who looks. Every major intelligence agency spent a decade actively investigating whether Hitler had survived. You do not spend 10 years investigating a confirmed death. The most wanted man in history has no confirmed body. Argentina under President Juan Peron was the most accommodating country in the world for Nazi fugitives. The escape routes, called Ratlines, ran from Germany through Vatican contacts in Rome, through Spain under Franco, to Buenos Aires. Thousands of Nazi officials used them. Adolf Eichmann, Joseph Mengele, Klaus Barbie. All reached Argentina. All lived there for years. The Argentine government actively assisted. And according to recently declassified Argentine files, Peron's government may have received $200 million in Nazi gold to provide that assistance. Consider what America gained from every single thing Hitler did. Hitler destroys the British Empire, America replaces it. Hitler invades the Soviet Union, America gets a weakened rival for the Cold War. Hitler starts a war that ends the Great Depression, American industry booms. Hitler's Holocaust creates Israel, America gets a strategic ally in the Middle East. Hitler loses the war, America occupies Germany and gets its scientists through Operation Paperclip. Every outcome of Hitler's actions benefited exactly one country. The same country. Every time. Operation Paperclip is not a conspiracy theory. It is declassified American policy. After WW2, America recruited over 1,600 Nazi scientists and brought them to America. Wernher von Braun, who built the Saturn V rocket that took America to the moon, was a Nazi SS officer who used concentration camp slave labor to build V-2 rockets. America gave him a new identity and a space program. The people who built Hitler's war machine built America's future. The transfer was seamless. Here is the final shape of it. Hitler destroyed Germany's enemies, Britain, France, the Soviet Union, through direct warfare. America destroyed Germany's allies, Japan, Italy, through its own warfare. Between them they eliminated every rival power on Earth. One did it from the inside. One did it from the outside. When the demolition was complete, one of them was rewarded with global dominance. The other was rewarded with a bunker, or a quiet retirement in Patagonia. You decide which outcome was always the plan. The world you are living in right now, the American dollar in your pocket, the American bases on every continent, the American films on your screen, the American technology in your hand, was built on the rubble of a war that eliminated every rival. Whether that war was engineered or simply exploited by those who benefited most, the result is identical. The board was cleared. One player remained. And that player had been preparing to win long before the first shot was fired. Important note before we go. This episode is entirely speculative historical imagination. The theory that Hitler was a deliberate instrument of power is not supported by mainstream historical consensus. Hitler's evil was real. His choices were his own. The Holocaust was the deliberate murder of 6 million Jewish people, and must never be minimized under any circumstances. The FBI files, DNA results, Operation Paperclip and Argentine Ratlines cited here are documented facts. The conclusions are speculative fiction. We are storytellers. The victims of World War II deserve to be remembered as the irreplaceable human beings they were. Every single one of them. This is history in Multiverse.